If one former Lakers legend wasn't enough, why not go for two? Why not double down and get a backcourt full of former Lakers legends? Well, I mean, it won't exactly be the backcourt because Zach LaVine kind of still has a say in who's going to play where because of, your best player, all of that stuff. But why not get Alex Caruso? I've seen some people talking about that contract. We'll talk about that. But what did the Chicago Bulls need? They needed some defense, and they brought in two of the better guard defenders in the league. I think Caruso is one of the best in the league. Lonzo Ball has been consistently good, and I think he still has a little bit more room to improve as well. So you brought in two of those guys. Ball obviously provides shooting. He's been a consistent three-point shooter for the last few years, and he consistently gets better. If you saw that workout footage, which I'm sure every Chicago Bulls fan will be watching on replay for the next foreseeable future until he gets on the court, the man's shot looks even better than ever. I watched most of his games for the Pelicans. I liked what he did. He's just great at recognizing matchups. So if Nikola Vucevic is in the post, he's going to find him. If Zach LaVine is out in transition, he's going to find him. If he sees that someone needs to get the ball off a double team, he's going to find a spot to get there, relocate, and hit the jump shot. Lonzo Ball is just an intelligent player. I think Bulls fans would know that. I think most fans would know that. But still, that's just what you need to say about Lonzo Ball. Alex Caruso on the other end is someone who's going to give you all those intangibles. The hustle, championship. He's a champion, man. He's a champion. And he played minutes as a champion. The man is a good player. I know some people think the contract, $9 million a year, is that too much? People need to rewire what they think about contracts. People are still stuck in that 2010 mindset where it's like, oh my God, you paid $10 million for this guy, for a solid player. Yeah. That's literally what $10 million is for now. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wouldn't have mind taking the path to the NBA right now, but $10 million is about what you're getting for a solid role player. And Alex Caruso is exactly that. He's averaged about 6 points a game for his career, which is why people might be hesitant to say he's a good role player, but that doesn't really tell the full picture. I mean, for one, he was playing with LeBron James. He wasn't asked to be a scorer. He was asked to spot up and shoot and handle the ball once or twice a game and then play great defense. He did all of those three things. He shot 40% from three this year. I don't know if that's sustainable. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he's also not a bad one. He's not a liability. He's going to keep defenses honest. He can be a secondary ball handler, or a third kind of ball handler, a fourth kind of ball handler, because you got Vucevic, LaVine, and Lonzo. He can handle the ball. Moral of the story, he can handle the ball. He can put it on the floor. I think he could average 10 and 4 a game and give you great defense. Caruso is going to be a good player. Unironically, people are going to laugh at this. Oh my God, a Lakers legend is going. Oh my God, the Bulls have now the best mixtape legends in the league. Yes, both of those things are true, but at the same time, just speaking of it from strictly a basketball sense, Alex Caruso is going to be a great signing for the Bulls. This is a team that needed defense. This is a team that wasn't great defensively. They're getting in Vucevic and LaVine, who, when they played together, I've talked about this in my other Bulls videos, they were a top 10 offense in the league, offensive rating-wise, when they played with those guys in about 15 games. So it's proven that when those two are on the floor, which isn't really a surprise to anyone. I mean, Vucevic is a legitimate 20, 10, and 5 guy, and LaVine's a legitimate nearly 30 and 6 kind of guy on great efficiency. That is going to be a good offense. Lonzo is not taking away from that. Caruso is not exactly adding a ton on the offensive end of the floor. I do think with more opportunity, he can provide a few more points, a few more assists, and he can show a little bit more than he did on the Lakers because he was really asked to do nothing offensively, which is fine. But you needed the defense. You got the defense. You got good players who fit your timeline as well. They're both in their 20s. Caruso's mid-20s. Lonzo's earlier 20s. That's great. Everything about this so far from the Bulls is great. I don't know what else they're going to do. I don't know what Kobe White's going to do. Larry Markkinen, I don't think he's been moved at the time of recording. I imagine he will be. I think it's inevitable that he's going to be moved pretty soon. So I don't know exactly what else is coming the way of the Chicago Bulls, but they could make some other big moves that make this offseason look even better for them. But just as of right now, they're looking like a playoff level team, because what does Lonzo bring? We should talk about that. I've talked about it quite a bit, which is why I didn't jump into it, but we should talk about that anyway. Lonzo Ball is exactly what they need alongside Zach LaVine. We know Zach LaVine wants to become a better defender, but as of right now, he's still not a good one. He's okay. He's improved. He's taken the responsibility. I've seen him go up against guys and want to lock them down, but he's not the best defender. More of his off-the-ball kind of stuff can get lost a few times, but he's an okay defender, and he's looking to get better. But Lonzo is a good defender. He likes to defend. I saw it in New Orleans when he didn't need to defend. There were a lot of times where it's like, they're a terrible defense. No one else was defending. Lonzo could have been like, I don't really care. Eric Bledsoe's my backcourt teammate. I'm playing with Stan Van Gundy. I could just mail it in, wait till free agency, and then do that. But no, he wanted to defend every single night. He was consistent. He was smart with it. He did all of those things. So you get that alongside Zach LaVine immediately. Big boost offensively. His playmaking really works well with LaVine. LaVine is a decent passer. He's a decent playmaker. A great scorer. A great scorer. So what Lonzo lacks in, not a great scorer, a decent scorer, 15 points a game on pretty decent efficiency now. It's improved. But a great passer. LaVine's a great scorer. What does that make? A great partnership, yeah? That's what I think. I think that makes a great partnership because LaVine can run the pick and roll. Lonzo can run the pick and roll. Vucevic, as I said, Lonzo is going to find those mismatches. It always seems like a minor detail, but for someone who watched Zion Williamson and the Pelicans a lot, when Lonzo didn't have the ball in his hands, people weren't finding those matchups as quickly. So to find Vucevic on the block and get it to him quickly enough, it's going to really get the best out of Vucevic in a way that you wouldn't expect. He's not going to be chucking lobs up to Vucevic regularly because he's not that kind of guy, but he's going to be finding him on the block in the right situations regularly. So I love that for the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, of course, he's a decent three-point shooter, a good three-point shooter, should I say. Not a decent anymore. He was decent. Now he's good. So he provides all of those things. I've said it before, so I don't really feel like I need to go into too much depth, but for anyone watching for the first time, those are my thoughts on Lonzo to the Bulls. It just makes a ton of sense. It's a reason why Bulls fans wanted him. In terms of the money, that's what I thought he was about. I thought he was a 20 million kind of player who could maybe be worth more, but that's what I think he is right now with his value potentially going up. So there's that. Alex Caruso, as I mentioned briefly, he provides all those intangibles. When you're looking to make the playoffs for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a while, when you're looking to become a better defense overall, you need those guys that are just going to jump on the floor, go for a loose ball, die for it. It sounds cliche, sounds a little bit corny, but it is just the reality. Those are the kind of guys that help your team. That's why the Lakers loved him. That is why the Lakers loved him. There's a reason he was playing consistent minutes in the playoffs and in the regular season for a championship contender and a championship level team. You don't just get that by being nothing. You've seen multiple guys go to teams like the Lakers, Montrezl Harrell, who seemed like a better player than Caruso and might be a better player in a different situation, but those guys don't always survive on the court in the playoffs because they don't bring those same kind of things that a guy like Caruso does. Those kind of things are valuable in the playoffs, and that's what the Bulls are looking for. They're valuable when you're trying to build a team up from the ground and trying to get that defense instilled into you. So I love that deal as well. So far, the Bulls have knocked it out of the park. In reference to that $37 million deal, as I said, it's really not an overpay. It's really just about market value, in my opinion. That's not surprising at all. I wouldn't have been surprised if someone paid a little bit more for Caruso, if I'm being completely honest, which would have been an overpay. I believe $36 million over 4 years is a perfectly fine deal. This is a guy that doesn't average a ton of points, and if you're a Bulls fan, don't expect that. I don't believe you're going to expect that, but don't expect that. Just expect great defense, expect a good role player who's going to come in and play his role, reunite with Lonzo Ball. I don't know how it's going to work. Do you play LaVine at the 3? I don't think Caruso will start. In terms of the lineup to close out the games, maybe Caruso, Lonzo, and LaVine can work because Caruso has good enough length. He can guard a few different positions. Lonzo is the same. And if LaVine wants to be the defender that he is aiming to be, like he's always said he wants to be, then he can also promise to guard a few different positions. So I believe the Bulls are looking great. They're going to improve defensively. Their offense is already kind of sorted in a way. They still need to improve there and make sure it wasn't a fluke in the 15 or so games they played with Vucevic and LaVine, and Lonzo can incorporate himself into that lineup. But as of right now, the Bulls are big winners from the offseason because they got the guy they needed at the point guard spot, and they got a great backup / someone who can close out games in Alex Caruso, who has genuine championship experience. You don't get that every day of the week. The Bulls did that. Good stuff, Bulls fans. Good stuff.